Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins. In the last episode, Rintaro Okabe decided to spend the last day of Mayuri Shina's life on the third and final day of Kamema, in the slim and vain hope that Mayuri would not die on the Alpha World Line anymore as a result of cancelling Moika's D-mail. Unfortunately, the Alpha World Line begged to differ, and as before, Convergence claimed the life of Mayuri, which basically means that as long as Rintaro stays on the Alpha World Line, Mayuri Shina will always meet her end on the 17th. Of course, all this could be avoided by cancelling the D-mail about the murder of Kurisu Makase, which would rob CERN of their ambitions and allow us to jump ship to the Beta World Line. Unfortunately, without this warning from Rintaro Tadaru concerning Kurisu's murder, that will essentially mean that Kurisu will go back to being dead, as she was murdered on July 28th. The only reason that she's been given a second chance is because of that D-mail, that very first email that led to all this in the first place. If we take that away, we will essentially be killing Kurisu Makase once again. But now, we have an email to check. And lo and behold, it is from Kurisu Makase, our ever trustworthy and reliable assistant. Where are you now? Where are you? You haven't been to the lab in 2 days. Are you still in Akihabara? We're worried, you know. You were acting strange yesterday. I want to help, so tell me where you are. I don't feel right not having you around. Where are you? I want to see you. How very considerate of you, Kurisu Makase. Unfortunately, we only have just one keyword to respond to, and that is where you are. And our response is, let me be alone. I need to think. We need to send this response right away. Because believe it or not, adventurers, by sending this particular response, as I am now, congratulations are in order. Because what we have just done is gotten the final flag for the true ending of Steins. Now, the sixth and final flag of the true ending cannot be obtained unless one has already acquired the previous 5 true ending flags prior to chapter 10. If you're missing any of the 5 flags before one reaches chapter 10, then one cannot achieve the true ending of Steins. But that still begs the question. We are still faced with a choice. Who do we save? Mayuri Shina, our oldest childhood friend, or Kurisu Makase, our closest confidant? I lean against the wire fence and stretch out my legs as I look at the sky. This blue, blue sky. I wanted more time to think. That's why I came back. Last time, I spent 2 days refusing to face reality. But this time, it appears that we're about to face it head on. But that is no longer an option, now that I've confirmed Mayuri's death once again on the Alpha World line. This time, I need to reach a decision. But how? This equation has no solution. No matter what choice I make, someone dies. From a purely utilitarian point of view, I should choose the Beta World line, where CERN never creates a dystopia. The world line that Suzuha Mane risked her very existence to achieve. But it's not that simple. Not for me, not anymore. There must be some other way. We can only hope, but that hope might yet be dashed. According to Suzuha, 2010 is a point of great divergence at the attractive field level between Alpha and Beta. I think that divergence had already commenced by the time I sent the D-mail reporting Kurisu's death. So when did divergence begin? I can't say for sure, but I think it was the moment we completed the phone wave TBA. That was around the middle of July. Dabu and I deemed it a failure right after completion, because after all at the time it was meant to be nothing more than a cell phone remote controlled microwave after all. By the time Kurisu was killed, there was already a huge divergence at the attractive field level. Now that I think about it, reading Steiner activated that day, when I sent the D-mail that started it all. Indeed it did. At that moment, every pedestrian and vehicle on the main street of Akiba vanished. Suddenly vanished. That felt so long ago, and previously we attributed that to some weird sort of phenomena that the vanishing might have been to some other explained phenomena, or the fact that the vanishing occurred only in our head, or perhaps we'd somehow convinced ourselves that it was the events of Dr. Nakabachi's lecture that was in our subconscious. But at this point in time, we know for certain that both events did happen. But now I can finally explain it. That was the moment I moved to the Alpha World line from the Beta World line. On the Beta World line where this all began, Suzuha didn't arrive in a time machine. Dr. Nakabashi's conference went ahead as planned, and the flow of tourists and shoppers went through Akiba was unimpeded. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking because my voice is getting a bit sore. But hooray! The mystery that we had at the shortly after the very beginning of the Let's Play, we finally have the answer. But when I sent that D-mail, events changed on a huge scale, from my perspective at least. For everyone else on the Beta World line, the lecture never happened, of course. On the current world line, Suzuha crashed her time machine into the roof of the radio building. Nakabashi's presentation was cancelled as a result, and this part of Akiba was closed to traffic. Thus, there wouldn't have been any pedestrians whatsoever. But for someone like Rintaro jumping from the Beta to the Alpha World line, that would be a huge shift in perception. Because I was out on the street when the world line changed, it appeared to me as if thousands of people suddenly vanished, whereas for Mayuri and everyone here, those people were never there to begin with. Indeed they weren't. Like a magician's trick, it's so obvious once you understand how it works. The real problem is the timing of the D-mail. That was sent on July 8th at 12:56, but it arrived on July 21st at 12:54. I moved to the Alpha World line after Kurisu died. If I had sent the D-mail before she died, then I might have been able to intervene, even now, on this world line. But no, that would defy causality. I sent that D-mail because I saw Kurisu's body. That's the way it has to be, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. Who killed her anyway? I still don't have the answer to that question. It definitely wasn't suicide, not from the amount of blood, and not from the position she was in. What if I identify the murderer and send them a D-mail warning them off? Would that prevent her death? I mean, no one has tried to kill her on this world line, have they? Maybe there's a chance. Given what happened with Mayuri in the previous episode, I highly doubt it. However, to send that D-mail, I would first have to move to the Beta World line. And of course, once we send that D-mail, we might shift back to the Alpha World line again, or in a complete jump of probability, leap to a completely different world line altogether. The more I think about it, the more futile it seems. I've already seen Mayuri die countless times. Everything I tried to prevent it failed. So long as we remain on the Alpha World line, that is a sad reality. I understand all too well. When fate wants someone dead, nothing can stop it. I can't save Kurisu. Not on the Beta World line. And speaking of which, it appears that Kurisu has ignored our email and has shown up regardless. I thought I was alone, but it seems that I was wrong. I turn around to see Kurisu standing in the open door. I avert my eyes. I can't look her in the face. Not now. Doing some serious pondering on life, the universe, causality, existence, everything, basically. Or nothing, as Rintaro has said. That's a very good question. Yeah, we did say that in our message. Something tells me that Kurisu would beg to differ. I hate to say it, Kurisu, but we're the ones worried about you. And once hold on. Sorry, had to turn off the microphone there, otherwise I would have sneezed into the microphone. But as I was about to say, Kurisu's tsundere complex has risen to the surface once again. Right after she gets herself flustered, Kurisu sighs and puts on a serious expression. That probably would have been the wiser choice. And given Kurisu's persistence, I don't think she's going to stop digging anytime soon. It's probably time to come clean at this point, Rintaro. No point hiding it any further.
くっそまずいオートミール食べてる時みたいなしょげっぷりじゃない？何があった？
That is a very unfortunately terrible analogy, given what we're going through at the moment.
何も。
Nothing indeed, at least not yet. But we have a
なんでセルーへ
difficult
のクラ
choice
ッキ
to
ングをや
make.
めたの？
It wasn't the cracking of CERN that we were afraid of, Kurisu. In fact, we probably should have shown her the demo in question, just to show her that that demo does exist, because she probably still has doubts about that.
お前だってクラッキングは良くないと言っていただろう。
And Rintaro covers with a very bold-faced lie. And if she did look at it, Rintaro would have been forced to admit that her death on the Beta World line is a reality, and not just some innuendo-based fantasy.
大イーホフラグが立ってビビったんですね。わかります。
Arrest flags? No. Death flags for people by the name of Kurisu Makase? Most certainly.
せめて順法精神に目覚めたと言ってくれ。
Completely out of character for an insane mad scientist, but we don't have time to play Horin Kiyoma.
全然らしくないな。いつもの独善的な態度はどこ行ったのよ。狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、法王院京馬のくせに。
I believe it's time to say farewell to that persona.
独善的でなんかいられるか。
And it appears that Rintaro Okabe has finally reached its boiling point. Fare thee well, Ho in Kiyoma. I don't think we actually need you anymore.
今回ばかりは独善的じゃいられないんだ。
Unfortunately, maniacal laughter can't solve our problems this time. I've forced my ego on others before. Suzuha, Ferris, Rukiko. I've sacrificed their dreams for the sake of my goal. I justified it by telling myself that it was necessary to save Mayuri. I weighed their suffering against the alternative and made my self-righteous choice. But this time, the alternatives are impossible to compare, because each are as valuable as the other.
仲間のどちらを見殺しにするかって決断を前にして独善的でいられたらむしろどれだけ楽だっただろうな。
Indeed, things would have been so much simpler if all we had to do was save Mayuri. Unfortunately, it's not that simple.
どちらかを見殺しってどういう意味？
That's why we're afraid. That's why we are stuck in this impossible crossroads. We only have one road to take. Which one is sadly entirely in our hands.
なあ、クリスティーナ。俺は所詮ただの学生なんだよ。
A university student, believe it or not.
狂気のマッドサイエンティスト。法王院京馬。そんなの全部妄想だ。設定だ。気づかなかっただろ。
Given the fact that she's an ad channeler who is fully versed in Chunibyu, I'm pretty sure that she knew right from the very start.
いや、初対面時点でなんとなく気づいてましたが。
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest.
初対面か。
Funny you should bring that up. What if I hadn't found Kurisu's body back then? If it weren't for a blood-curdling scream, we probably wouldn't have found that body. Let's try imagining that situation. If I hadn't seen Kurisu dead, I wouldn't have interrogated her before the seminar at ATF, because as far as the Alpha World Line Kurisu, which is the Kurisu currently standing before us, that was technically the first time that she met Rintaro Okabe, but the second time that Rintaro Okabe met Kurisu Makase. Without hearing me call her a zombie, she wouldn't have taken an interest in me. She wouldn't have come to the lab. Ultimately, we would have never built the time leap machine, leaving me without the means to save Mayuri. In fact, she definitely wouldn't be here in Japan. She would have already been in America by now. And of course, Kurisu would not have become our friend, Lab Member 004. We would not be as close as we are right now.
答えて岡部。どういう意味なの？
Brace yourself, Kurisu. You might want to get a foldable chair, because you're going to need to sit down for this one. I can't meet your questioning gaze.
どうしても言わないとダメか。
In hindsight, you should probably figure out that it has something to do with the D-mail in question. The one that said you've been stabbed.
散々相談に乗ってやったでしょ？
Well, that was in the case of Mayuri Shina, but in this instance, it's not that simple.
今さら遠慮するな。
If you insist. But that's not what this is about.
だったら覚悟してくれ。
I'll give you 5 minutes to get a chair. Otherwise, I hope you have very steady legs.
これから話すのは相談じゃない。
The whole truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
お前にとっては死亡宣告になる。
Kurisu's voice cracks just a little.
俺は説明したよな。セルにクラッキングをすることでマユリが死ぬことのないベータ世界線へたどり着けると。
Which is good news for Mayushi. Unfortunately, in exchange,
2036年のセルンのディストピアもなくなる。自由な未来が待ってるバラ色の世界線。そんな風に聞こえた。
everyone lives. Not everyone, Kurisu. And that's the
バラ色
point.
のものかよ。元凶となった最初の D メール、その内容はお前にも見せたはずだ。
Indeed, we actually did show it to her, even though it was broken up into 3 parts.
ベータ世界線ではそのメールの内容が実際に起きた。
In other words, your death flag in the Beta World line is a certainty. Kurisu is a genius. I have no doubt that she understands.
ベータ世界線ではお前は7月28日に死んでいるんだ、クリス。
And with that terrible revelation, it's time to end this episode of Let's Play Steins Gate. When we return, adventurers, we shall see how Kurisu holds up under the weight of this terrible revelation, and see where we go from here. As always, until next we meet, adventurers.